Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we're doing 1977's Which Way Is Up?
When we first got this movie, full disclosure, when we first got this movie, because I'm an illiterate idiot, I thought it was Every Which Way Is Loose. One, far superior movie than Every Which Way Is Loose. Very happy it was this.
Yes.
But two, then I had to start guessing what it was once I learned how to read. And I was like, Which Way Is Up? Is this a fucking Woody Allen movie? Because I had no idea what this was.
This is far from a Woody Allen movie.
Well, not too far. There's a little bit of rape in it. So
yeah, there was a number of, we'll call, questionable scenes in this film.
I just did what I had to do.
And before we get too deep into it, two things. One, if you want to follow me and Corey on Twitter, you could follow me at Junior D's. You could follow Corey at Idle Poncho. And let's go through the cast of this movie, Which Way Is Up? This film stars Richard Pryor as LeRoy Jones, Rufus Jones, and Reverend Lenox Thomas, Lonette McKee as Vanetta, and Margaret Avery as Annie Mae. And again, going back to, because we've now done, 3 or 4 movies from the 70s. And that was like a thing then. Like, I know it was like an Eddie Murphy bit that he's done in his stand-up. Like, back in the day when you could smack a woman and, nobody said shit. Like, but that's no shit. Like, all these movies in the 70s had scenes like this that were very normal.
Oh yeah, and this is what I don't think the term marital rape existed.
No, I think that didn't come. I don't think that really came about until the Bobbitt case, in the 90s,
like yeah,
maybe,
exactly.
Around there.
That's the first time I remember hearing it.
Yeah,
they cut off his dick for what? Oh yeah, then he deserved it. But it was just This was very different. However, I will say this. As much as we absolutely have just destroyed rape on this show, as it should be done because it's fucking disgusting, they made it work in 2 of the 3 potential rape scenes.
Yes.
And the way they made it work was he ended up failing. We discuss that all the time on this show.
Well, he ends up failing, and he ends up literally getting his ass kicked in every situation.
Exactly. One woman beats the shit out of him.
Yep.
One woman jams the vibrator right up his ass after beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
The preacher's wife, I think, just tosses him around the fucking house like he's nothing.
Yeah.
So that's how he fails, and that's the only way it works, because the very first scene. In the fucking intro to the movie.
It's the opening. The whole opening is really weird, by the way.
Yeah, because him as Grandpa, who you don't know it's Grandpa or Dad.
Yeah. Is
just straight out hitting it.
Yeah.
And then they cut to Richard Pryor, who is Leroy, or I'm sorry, we're white. LeRoy, as they call him in this movie.
Yes.
They cut to him, and he's trying to get it in, and the wife's like, which, by the way, every wife is like that usually in the morning when you first wake up. It's like, nah, I got a headache. And this dog just grabs her by the fucking throat and says,
"Open your legs, bitch."
It was very weird in a comedic scene, seeing him grab the throat and saying it.
Yeah.
That was a really weird opening to what the movie was. And then you're like, okay, maybe it's a one-off, and it's not.
No, it's really not.
It's his go-to move.
It's his character throughout this whole movie. And then he overhears his father having sex in the next room and is getting off on it and is trying to watch because apparently he can't have sex. So that's a thing.
Yeah. First off, he cut out a peephole like he's fucking Anthony Perkins in Psycho to watch his dad fuck his stepmom, I'm assuming, because that woman's young as hell.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is.
Young as hell. But, dude.
And
this is weird.
FYI, the audio from his dad fucking in this opening scene is the sample that they used in 2 Live Crew's Me So Horny.
Oh! Don't do that, baby. What gonna do?
Suck it to me. Oh!
It's a good little tidbit. You know, a lot of the tidbits I have are like, cool. It's nice to know, I guess. This one was really good. I like that.
That's a solid one. I think you're on the wrong show, pal. We don't do that kind of shit here.
They're not all winners, but this one, that's a winner. But then they show him at his job. He works as an orange picker in the orange fields, and LeRoy accidentally joins the farm workers union, and he gets fired from his orange picking job. And he's told to leave town. Not just you're fired. He's told to leave town by Mr. Mann's crew of goons and is given a one-way bus ticket to L.A.
And I gotta say, for a crew of goons, they're very polite. Because
aren't they?
They show up to the union workers rally to beat this dude up. They got the baseball bats. They're gonna break up this whole union thing. They sort of do it, but they don't.
No, they just
wait. They call them a bunch of like horrible racial slurs. Like they don't even like beat around the bush with it. Like they go straight hard in the paint.
Yeah.
For like the big ones.
Yeah.
And then like they're like, dust up. But then everybody's just kind of back home and nobody's been hurt.
Richard Pryor says like, I put up my arm and they like hit me twice, and then like he got but the whole time as the union is like marching through the orange fields, there's cops there who aren't doing anything, except for like putting their riot shields on. And then you have the goons that are there that are literally just, they're with bats and stuff and guns. But again, they're just standing around. Like, they're just like, hey, as long as everything's peaceful, we're okay. But like, and we might chase you a little bit, but that's about it. Like, again, the nicest goons of all time.
Yeah, the goons are pretty swell, and the cops, I mean, shit, I think if the cops see 2 black people walking down the street, they're supposed to put down their riot shields.
Yeah,
for department guidelines. So they're pretty chill as well.
Yeah.
But then as we fast forward now a little bit to where they show up at his house, they show up calling him all kinds of names again. And I mean, there's like 10 of these motherfuckers. Yeah. And he is left alone. And they're like, hey, here's a bus ticket. Deuces.
They bought him a bus ticket.
And then like wrecked his broke ass truck anyway that barely ran. It's like, okay, I'm good with that. Like there was no cross burning. Nobody got beat up. Like, I don't think you guys are very good at being racists.
No, they were pretty tame. After he gets to LA, he gets a job as a painter, and then he sees Vanetta handing out pamphlets for the farm workers union and is immediately smitten. And by immediately smitten, I mean he starts to stalk her all over LA until he finally talks to her.
It's weird. The whole thing, this whole situation is so fucking weird. And what, like, isn't he like chasing her down, like jogging?
Yeah, she's working out. She's jogging. She's jogging in the park. He starts to try to keep up with her, but it doesn't seem like she even knows he's there. And then he collapses because he's exhausted because, you know, she's in great shape and he's a grown man who doesn't run. Yeah, and
there's a PSA for you in and of itself. Is just, ladies, keep in shape so you can outrun rapists.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best course of action. And speaking of PSAs, I'm sorry, but I gotta do this now. Hi, ladies. Uncle Corey here. Sorry if you're disappointed that I'm not giving a don't stalk people, but that's 1, evident, and 2, that's Armando's department. The don't do that's not stalking. But ladies, when you're exercising, specifically jogging, even if you're on a treadmill, white denim is not the way to go. That is going to cause an entire set of problems that you are not interested in.
Yes.
Just stay away from denim, but especially the white denim. when you are jogging or running or mall walking, elderly ladies out there, just stay away from it. It's bad. You're going to get chafing. There's going to be like weird sweat stains that are going to turn different colors because guess what? That shit wasn't fucking naturally white. So when it starts dying, it's going to look like you had a bit of a period or a piss in your pants. Either way, it's not going to be fun. Avoid white denim whilst exercising.
Absolutely. And as they talk, because it cuts to like him collapsing, and then it's a quick cut to the next scene, and they're just walking and talking.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what happened.
The gang now.
I don't know what happened between him collapsing and them talking, but cool, they're talking now, and they're having their walk and talk. And
I think technically it's called Patty Hearst syndrome, like when you start to fall for your kidnappers or get behind their cause.
Yes.
We just fast forwarded through the whole kidnapping and holding her hostage for over a year phase.
Exactly. So as they talk, he takes credit for helping start the farm workers union and then tries to take advantage of Vanetta, and she quickly fucking flips him, kicks his ass, and then after that, we get a montage of them like hanging out and having a good time.
Yeah, he does some like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton bullshit across the street with his broken arm. Like, my arm is broken. You broke my arm. Psych. No, you didn't. Look how good it is. I'm going to be raping you again soon. It's like, what the fuck is going on? But she's into it.
Yeah, I guess.
Which for all you guys in high school that were like, ugh, how did that get laid? Apparently you just make them laugh. That's all you got to do.
You know what? I'll quick PSA on my part. Yeah, that didn't work either. Making them laugh didn't work. Just no, I failed miserably. Either I wasn't funny or it doesn't work.
It was usually the sex that made them laugh. But
yeah, and you don't want any of that.
No.
So after we get the montage, they then show him in her apartment hanging out, maybe having dinner or something. And after he professes his love for her, she tells him that she's like totally cool with an arrangement that she'll be his girl and she's okay if he's married, but he has to promise to never sleep with anyone again, including his wife. Like she could be the only one.
And this so reminded me of that scene in Team America where they said, if you could promise me right now that you'll never die, I will sleep with you. And he says, I promise I will never die. This is the easiest thing in the world to do because I don't care how down you are. It doesn't sound like you're ever really going to meet my wife. So yeah, I promise. Okay, baby. That's never going to happen. And what's crazy about this is he actually tries.
No, he does. That's as much of a piece of shit as Richard Pryor's character is in this movie. He does try because after this, they cut to a montage of Leroy's wife who has been crushing life ever since Leroy left town. And she's out having a good time. She's partying. And she even had enough money for a down payment on a goddamn Mustang after working at the local Five and Dime for 6 months.
Yeah, she's kind of tearing it up. And this is my one question. Now, I see her dance. They show the scene of her dancing at the club.
Yes.
Right? Like her friend finally coaxes her into dancing at the club. And she starts having a good time from that, which is cool. But were they trying to imply that she was cheating as well?
That's what I took from it.
Like, because they don't really outright say it until much later in the movie. Yeah,
because she goes from, at the beginning of this movie, a very, like, timid, frigid.
Prude.
Yeah, she's a prude at the beginning of this movie. When he comes back to town, she's like, yeah, I got a Zorro mask. I got freaking 8 kinds of dildos. The whole 9. And let's fucking party. And I got like whips and handcuffs. And so I don't know about you, but to go from that the prude to that shit, where you're like ordering shit from adamandeve.com or, you know, one of those websites, like,
yeah,
to go from point A to point Z, I mean, you have to have some life experience in there. So that's kind of how I took it.
That's true. That is true. That's a good point. Yeah, I just yeah, she's a freak.
Yeah.
I was kind of into it. I wanted to see where that went.
Yeah.
I like when like the timid people come out their shells, because that's usually what happens.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it cuts from that to LeRoy and Vanetta having a baby together, which, by the way, is the quickest aging baby of all time.
Oh, yeah. Little Arlo sprouts up quick. I mean, you know that little kid's name is Arlo. He sprouts way the fuck up.
Yo, they have the baby, and then it cuts to the baptism, which is, I'm assuming, a couple months later. This motherfucker's 5 years old at the goddamn baptism.
That wasn't their son at getting baptized. That was their grandson. Little Arlo was the one fucking who was doing the baptism.
Dude, that son of a bitch came out, had a full head of hair. Like, I know that that's a thing. Some babies have a full head of hair. This motherfucker had 6 years of growth on his head. Okay.
Oh, yeah. He came out and said, "Goonie goo goo."
So,
and if you know, you know.
At the baptism, LeRoy then accidentally stumbles into saving the life of Juarez, the leader of the Union, as he runs into the assassination attempt. And the cops interview LeRoy because he's the only eyewitness to this attempted assassination. Yep. And he clams up when he sees that one of the cops has the same ring as the shooter and Mr. Man from earlier in the movie. Yep. And the cop, a young Paul Mooney. And by the way, I'm not saying Paul Mooney is not a good-looking older man. This dude was a good-looking young man. Like,
yeah, dude could get it.
Yeah, he got after it in this.
Yeah, he was handling his business. But yeah, him. And it's funny, like, if you know Paul Mooney and like his style of comedy and his stand-up, dude, this ain't it. That role.
I was gonna say, this ain't it.
No, he would eat that dude for breakfast in real life.
Absolutely.
So it was fantastic. It's fun seeing Paul pop up every now and again.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And LeRoy then is given a job back at the Orange Company in his hometown by the dad from Gimme a Break because he shut his mouth with the cops.
I like what happens here. And I don't know, because, again, I'm not doing any research whatsoever, ever on anything in my life. We just found out at the beginning of the show. I learned to read like a week ago. So I ain't getting into it. However, this started looking an awful lot, excuse me, like it influenced Sorry to Bother You. That movie's much more cerebral, which is a nice way of saying weird. It's not as kind of straightforward as this one is, but it very similarly starts showing signs of this movie, at least to me.
Yeah,
because you start to see Richard Pryor kind of develop like that white voice.
Well,
he starts talking to his employees like this.
Because because he moves Vanetta and his rapidly aging son back to his hometown, but stays with his wife to keep up appearances. And as he's working at the factory, like, he gets his friends involved, like he gets them out of the orange fields to work underneath him, like he's trying to help them out. But as this movie progresses, he progressively gets the, hey guys, productivity and synergy and things. And he becomes more of that company man.
All right, gentlemen, I want you to move your ass, and I want you to do it now.
Listen, this happens in real life. Like, this isn't a PSA, but just, it happens slowly, and that's how that happens. That's how you become a company man. It's just not like shit happens overnight. You know, he shows up with like a V-dub, like a hatchback, and then like 3 scenes later, he's got a Cadillac and a house, and like, it slowly ramps up to where like now his friends are like, hey man, you've changed. He's like, I haven't changed, you've changed, you lazy pieces of shit. Now get back to work.
Yeah. And this is what's great about Richard Pryor comedy to me is if you watch most of his movies, they usually have a point like this.
Yes.
Like they're not just dick and fart jokes.
Yeah, no, there's
an actual layered kind of deep point to what he's trying to say here.
There's if you dig into it in every Richard Pryor movie, that he's been heavily involved in, there's a subtle way that they touch on certain topics, but if you dig into it, you're like, wow, that's kind of deep, like the way they touch on those things. But this is also where we get back into the comedy. We get his wife, who has now experienced life and is sexually aggressive and tries to have sex with him, but he tries to keep his promise with Vanetta. You know, LeRoy starts going basically between his wife, Vanetta, work, and then his friends tell him that Annie Mae, his wife, is pregnant, and everyone obviously knows that it ain't his. So he finds out that the father is the local Reverend, Lenox Thomas. And LeRoy then puts together, instead of like going to Lenox Thomas and beating the hell out of him, or what happens at the end of this movie, he decides, I'm just going to concoct this big plan. Like, you fuck my wife, I'm going to fuck your wife. Like,
it's not convoluted. It's just sadistic.
It is
sadistic. It's kind of weird. Like, why are you, and I get it. Like, oh, you fuck my wife, I'm going to fuck your wife. Cool. 2 problems with that. 1, just leave your wife.
He's telling the truth.
You want to talk about your problems fucking disappearing overnight?
Yes.
Your side chick doesn't have to be your side chick anymore. You're good to go now. That's what you wanted to be anyway. You got her in the nice house. You got your kid in the nice house.
Yeah.
Great. Your wife just cheated on you and is knocked up. She doesn't know about your side chick yet. Awesome. The best out.
Yes.
Guilt-free out that was ever given to you.
Absolutely.
And there isn't a man alive that wouldn't take that. They would be the most insulted, indignant motherfucker you ever seen in your life. How dare you cheat on me, bitch?
Oh my God. I can't believe you let the devil into my house.
You want to see a man start quoting scripture and Shakespeare at the same time?
Lina, what kind of low-life dog, scoundrel, snake in the grass would lay with another man's wife? Who is this person?
Unless you're a sex-crazed rapist who's been like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to fuck the preacher's wife.
Yeah.
And again, the only reason it works as funny is, 1, his attempts at seduction through playing the piano and being more cultured and shit like that are funny as hell.
Yeah.
And 2, she straight whips his ass.
Yeah, well,
when he tries to force himself on him.
Yeah, so she completely flips the script on him because not only does she kick his ass, and she looks like goddamn Muhammad Ali in this scene. Like she hey, put the dukes down. Okay, we're not putting up dukes. Like she's hopping around, she's bouncing off the ropes. Like,
you know what she looked like? She looked like Della Reese in Harlem Nights, about to fuck up Eddie Murphy.
And so not only does she kick the shit out of him, she then says, it completely flips the script and goes, oh, take your clothes off. You can't handle this shit. And completely uses him like, you're going to put a baby in me, and he cheated on me, and now I want revenge. And like, so now he's stuck. So now he's dealing with 3 women, plus being the company man at work. And he goes to Mr. Man. I love that that's his name, by the way.
Oh, it's fantastic. The only way that it could have been better is if they named him Whitey Cracker. Because this was fucking fantastic.
So he goes to Mr. Man and asks for a transfer. And Mr. Man, who apparently has like his goons following him everywhere, knows everything about what's going on in Leroy's life, and then tells him to kick rocks and be a man.
Which, can I say, it's really weird when your protagonist is getting the sage life advice he needs from the antagonist in the movie.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That'd be like Darth Vader being like, Luke, first off, stop kissing your sister. But two, like, look, man, this is just the way you got to go. All of this is a trial for you. You know what I mean? Like, eventually you'll come around and see the life lesson and you and the Force will be one. But until then, I am your father. You know what I mean? It's fucking weird that that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
But it does. And I mean, unfortunately, Mr. Man is correct here. And I kind of had an epiphany here, was like, yo, did they make this fucking movie for me? Because I'm pretty sure, like, I got a bastard here, there's a bastard there, this person's probably having my kid somewhere else. Hi, Lil Jorge. But yeah, dude, it's just... I mean, this is the only way they're ever going to see my ass.
Yeah,
but
of course.
No, it's just really weird having that kind of advice coming from the bad guy in the movie.
Yeah,
because he's 100% correct, and he does start setting Leroy back on his more of a righteous path.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Leroy, after this conversation with Mr. Man, then goes to the church to confront the Reverend in front of the whole congregation. And the Reverend gets chased out of the church by everyone and is killed after getting run over by a passing, like, LA tour bus golf cart thing.
Dude. Again, dark.
Yeah.
And at this point, too, in the movie, you should be realizing to yourself, like, oh, this movie was a massive influence on Eddie Murphy.
Oh, 100%.
A massive influence. And this is kind of a shout out to all you would-be screenwriters out there. Because if you compare a movie like this to something like, let's say, Norbert or even The Nutty Professor, the message in this movie comes across easier because Leroy looks like Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like one of these hyperbolic characters.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So when Norbert is your main character and is trying to give you some sort of, sage wisdom or trying to get across some sort of message to you overall about life, it doesn't come across because you're looking at Eddie Murphy in like this weird fat suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's like, oh, look at me for most of the movie. Now I'm a professor. You know what I mean? Same with Nutty Professor. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
When he's in that suit and trying to be the guy. It's just, doesn't come across right. But having it done this way, it comes across. It's easier to receive what he's trying to say.
Absolutely. After the bus kills the Reverend, we then cut to the Reverend's funeral, and Mrs. Thomas, the Reverend's widow now, tells Leroy to fuck off. Vanetta shows up. She basically calls him a bitch, and she's leaving town with her son and his friend Chewie.
And his boy. Damn. And look, I ain't no prize, but it's a double insult that she's leaving with the ugliest fucking dude of all your friends.
Yes.
That hurt. That motherfucker has like half his lip jacked up half the time. Like a snaggletooth hanging out that motherfucking mouth. Well, and she left you for him. Yes. And by the way, she keeps saying about like, oh, the movement's important to me. I'm getting... Bitch, ever since Arlo was born, you ain't talked about the movement one motherfucking time.
No, you had
Bill Burr, bitch, you're sitting in the jacuzzi next to me. What are you talking about the movement?
Yeah, she's got like the poster of the movement in their house. She's been gardening, according to Richard Pryor, every goddamn day. Like, she hasn't been really involved in the movement since they moved back to his hometown.
Yeah, you got no problem spending that management money talking about the fucking movement.
But the not only is, Vanetta leaving him, Mrs. Thomas telling him to fuck off, he then goes to try to mend things between him and Annie Mae, who also tells him to go pound sand. And she drives off, and he's just back to it's just him.
You want to know how you know you ain't shit. Ask to help raise another man's child with a single woman, and she tells you to go fuck yourself.
Yes, the same woman who cheated on you, and now you're like, yes, I will raise that child. And she's like, nah, I'm good. Yep. All the choking and shaking and shit, not for me. Not for me.
Yep. No. Which I think is just kind of another one of the small messages you get from this movie is, don't try and rape every woman that you want to fuck. And it might work out a little better for you. Because this is bullshit. They ain't having any of it.
Yeah. Try not to, I don't know, choke and shake the shit out of women too. It helps. I'm just saying. Like, the movie ends here as Leroy sees Mr. Mann's limo parked in the distance and watching everything go down. And Leroy goes over to him, gives him back the keys to his car, the house, etc. He quits his job, and then he walks away, and down the road, credits.
Which I really like the scene. I like the way he tells him to kiss his ass. Basically, shoot me in the ass because it's the last part of me you're going to see.
Yep.
I like that. I mean, Richard obviously said it a lot cooler than I did.
Now, if you don't like that, better shoot me in my ass right now, because that's the last part you ever going to see of me, motherfucker.
Overall, when it started, I was very skeptical.
So did I.
There's no fucking way Rudy Ray Moore made a more, friendlier to women movie than Richard fucking Pryor did.
Yeah.
But it turns out he really didn't. There was a lot of things this could have went one way, but of course, it's Richard Pryor. The guy's a fucking comedic genius. He is on the Mount Rushmore of comedy. And if he's not, no offense, but you don't know a goddamn thing about comedy.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
I mean, for that reason alone, if you haven't seen this, if you're a Brewster's Millions, all the Gene Wilder movies, moving kind of Richard Pryor, go check this out. It's different. It's interesting. You can see a ton of influence from this movie in
absolutely
later work. Again, I think it's Sorry to Bother You. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But that movie, most of Eddie Murphy's character work, obviously, it's fantastic.
Well, and
for that reason alone, it's fantastic.
Yeah, from the character work and him playing multiple characters in this, that's obviously great. Richard Pryor always did voices and different voices, and that was kind of his part of his thing and his allure in this movie. But you also have the messaging and the subtle messaging that we talked about throughout this movie. And one of the things that we haven't really talked about, but at this time in the 70s, unions were becoming a big thing again.
Huge.
And the rights of the workers and yada yada. So, and again, they subtly we're just going to sprinkle that in here. It's part of the plot to this movie, but it's almost like a C plot or a D plot in this movie. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Just the rights of the workers and treating your workers like shit. And then you have Richard Pryor as he's moving up through the company and becoming the company man, treating his friends who he was picking oranges with 2 years ago. And now he's treating them like shit because of, quarterly quotas and things. You know what I mean? So that.
I mean, look, that's 100% accurate.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why I'm a horrible manager. I like hanging out with the boys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can't do that shit.
No, you can't. You really, really can't. And so the way they touched on some of those things in little brief scenes throughout was brilliant. The way they did that. But yeah, like you said, the messaging that they sprinkled in throughout this was great. The comedic scenes were fantastic. Obviously, Richard Pryor's he's just brilliant when it comes to anything comedy, whether you're talking stand up or whatever. I do think that Richard Pryor's character, though, in this was written a little bit more true to life. Unfortunately.
Probably.
You know what I mean? I think there was...
Look, he made... Part of what made him such a great stand-up was he made no bones about
who he was.
What kind of a person he was.
Yeah.
And he took that all to the stage and talked about it.
Oh, so, absolutely.
I mean, look, we're not saying anything out of turn, and we're certainly not birching his memory because...
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'll fucking lick his dead asshole today if I was asked to. Guys, on the other hand, champion.
I will not. I will not.
Then you're not dedicated.
No, I'm not.
To comedy. So go fuck yourself.
I don't like licking dead assholes. So there you go.
Well, I didn't say I'd like it. I said I would do it. There's a fucking difference.
Well, on that note, do you have anything else for this movie?
No, I highly recommend people check it out. Next week, big week. Scarface is coming up, boys and girls. A classic Scarface. Where I think we'll probably touch on cultural appropriation just a little bit. So that'll be fun.
A touch.
But after that, we're going to slow things down a little bit. Bring in some Blown Away. Corey Haim, Nicole Eggert. It's going to be a good fuck film. Or as they say in France, les faux. And after that, we're bringing back the action. We're going back to our roots with Tango and Cash. Cash and Tango. Tango and Cash.
All right. Well, after that, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews. And this was 1977's Which Way Is Up?